A creepy elderly woman approaches a young woman with a black box, telling her that she is going to die today. To avoid this fate, she must place 3 items inside the box: something she hates, something she needs, and something she needs, and something she loves most of all. 32-year-old protagonist Polly lives alone in a large house rented cheaply from her sister. She unpacks her groceries and checks her answering machine. Tomorrow brings a double shift at work, and the coming days are filled with the hustle of holiday preparations. It is the burden of people who don't know how to say no to those around them. After drinking some wine, the young woman decides to warm up by the fireplace when she hears the doorbell. On the doorstep stands an old woman who claims to be lost, searching for a specific house. Polly invites the unexpected guest, shivering from the cold inside, to warm up, then brings her a glass of water before they sit by the fire. Polly offers to let the old woman use her phone to call for a ride, but she claims she doesn't know how to use even a button phone. During their polite conversation, the elderly woman asks several questions, behaving rather strangely. Suddenly, the old woman, whose hand is bandaged, places a black box on the table and pulls out an hourglass, announcing that the box now belongs to Polly. Polly intends to kick the strange guest out, but the woman suddenly declares that Polly will die today if she doesn't do something. Frightened, Polly threatens to call the police, but the woman advises against it. After escorting the crazy old hag with her box and hourglass outside, Polly asks the woman to leave. The old woman addresses Polly by name, even though Polly never mentioned it, and says that she too thought it was just a nightmare and that she would wake up any moment. But alas, she did not wake up. Returning inside, Polly calls her mother and recounts the incident in detail. Stepping outside during the call, she notices the box left on the road by the old woman. Later, she takes a shower and picks out an outfit for her niece's party. Suddenly, she hears her mother's voice and, frightened, lights a cigarette to calm her nerves. Then her mom calls. Answering the phone, Polly shares her anxiety and mentions a strange presence in the house. During the conversation, Polly notices the box on the table, the one she definitely didn't bring inside. Then her mother's voice reveals that it isn't really her and tells Polly it is time to start the clock. Soon, paranormal phenomena begin occurring in the house, and the fake mother calls back, stating they know everything about her. She doesn't stay at a job longer than 4 months. She shuts out anyone who tries to get close. She is over 30, and her mind is a mess. To survive the day, she must place 3 things in the box: something hateful, something necessary, and something beloved. After a moment, she decides to put in a pack of cigarettes. It ruins her health, and this bad habit is clearly something she hates. However, this turns out to be a lie. After Polly closes the box, the item doesn't disappear. Time starts ticking, and Polly realizes that when it runs out, her life will end too. Suddenly feeling suffocated, she coughs up a key. The protagonist runs to her neighbor for help, asking her to call the police since her own mobile isn't working. The woman is busy on the phone but lets her in, then mentions that the police are on the other line. The neighbor's expression changes abruptly, and she says she'll show Polly what she has done. The woman then repeatedly stabs herself with a knife and, bleeding out, tells Polly no one will help her and she cannot hide from them. On the dead neighbor's chest, Polly sees the inscription, "Don't you dare." Back in the house, she sees her late father calling her smartphone. Answering, she tells the entity that he is clearly not her dad. The father's voice says he hates lies and gives a hint about the item she must deposit. Polly enters the closet and uses the key she coughed up to open a drawer containing photos of her father, who died of cancer. There, she finds a cross that belonged to him. However, when she tries to leave, the door won't budge. Her father's ghost suddenly appears, terrifying her, but soon vanishes. With tears in her eyes, Polly admits she prayed for her father every day, yet he still died in terrible agony. She places the cross in the box, and it becomes clear to the audience that she hates God. The box accepts the item, and it disappears. The sand in the hourglass resets, and a mysterious voice echoes through the house. Polly realizes it is coming from her reflection in the mirror, ruthlessly reminding her that death is near. Garden shears suddenly appear in her hand, and the phone rings again. Answering, she hears the worried voice of her sister Lainey. Lainey asks in confusion why Polly has called her dozens of times, but Polly swears she didn't. Lainey adds that she sees Polly's car and is parking at the house. Horrified, Polly screams into the phone, begging her sister not to let her in, but the line goes dead. The sinister force turns the house into a trap. All doors and windows are sealed tight. Escape is impossible. Suddenly, the TV turns on, offering a hint. On the screen, Polly's niece is counting her toes. Realizing her niece might be harmed, Polly takes the shears and cuts off her own toe, screaming in agonizing pain. She puts the pinky toe in the box and runs to the kitchen to bandage the wound. When she returns and opens the box, she sees the body part was not accepted. Polly screams in rage, demanding it be taken, but she is made to understand that a different finger was required, one from her hand, though. The mix-up was amusing to them. Shaking with horror, Polly doesn't want to do it, but forcing herself and realizing her family might be killed, she cuts off her finger. The time restarts as the box accepts it, and the sinister game suddenly unlocks the front door. Polly gets in her car and drives to her sister's. Entering through the unlocked door, she hears Lainey's voice from the second floor and goes up. In the bedroom, she finds her sister dead, and in the next room, the body of her daughter. Soon, the box appears on the first floor, and phones start ringing all over the house. Picking up one, Polly hears her niece's voice. The entity states that she must suffer to avoid suffering and needs to think carefully about the next item. Polly doesn't understand why they were killed, but the entity explains it only happened because of her mistake. The voice then asks what she loves most, and Polly replies that she loved her. The fake niece suggests taking her nose and eyes, threatening that any mistake will result in truly horrific consequences. But Polly doesn't fall for the manipulation. Instead, she cuts a lock of her hair and shoves it into the box. Her resurrected sister appears, and Polly rushes to the niece's bedroom. Everything seems fine, but the girl's face suddenly breaks out in spots, and the heroine realizes the nightmare hasn't ended. The niece mocks and threatens her, then plunges a knife into Polly's body. The protagonist wakes up on the table next to the box and the hourglass. She is bewildered. Why doesn't this diabolical game end if she fulfilled all the requirements? In a fit of despair, Polly is ready to give the entity everything she has, even her blood. A hand shoots out of the box, grabbing her and trying to drag her in, but Polly breaks free. Grabbing the box, she soon rings the doorbell of her sister's neighbors. And finally, one opens. Polly explains to the unfamiliar girl that she needs to deliver a message to her sister, but forgot her house key, asking to use her phone. The girl looks suspicious but lets the stranger in. Polly sincerely apologizes for the sudden visit and offers to call the police if the girl is afraid. However, the girl assures her she isn't worried and steps away to call her mother. In that instant, Polly has a vision. Involving this girl, she then pulls the box and hourglass from the bag. The girl returns, saying her parents will be there soon. Polly somehow knows the girl's name is Tara and that her parents won't arrive that quickly. With genuine pain, she admits to the stranger that it is unbearable being herself, even though she desperately tried to change. Soon, the protagonist repeats the very words she recently heard herself. "You are going to die." Returning home, Polly sits by the fireplace when suddenly the battered old woman appears, claiming the cursed box won't let her go and demanding she kill Polly. A violent fight ensues, and Polly gains the upper hand, severely wounding the old woman. The dying woman admits she regrets opening the door and apologizes for passing on the curse. She then says this entity clearly doesn't choose them by accident. They are all broken inside. The cursed box will never be sated by their suffering and won't let go. But death, she says, is nothing to fear. After the old woman dies, Polly sees a fragment of their past conversation where the old woman looks directly at her from the mirror. Then, she hears the voices of everyone she interacted with that night. Finally, the sand in the hourglass runs out. Morning comes. Polly's loved ones wake up, noticing the mess in the house and the protagonist's scattered clothes. Meanwhile, Polly wakes up in her own home, hoping it was all just a nightmare. But a finger is missing from her hand, and she realizes the events were real. Stepping outside, she sees her neighbor, who died yesterday, now alive. Arriving at her sister's, She joyfully hugs her niece, realizing everyone is safe and alive. She asks the girl to tell her mother she'll be in soon, then heads toward Tara's house to take the box back. At the door, she orders Tara to stop playing with the box and demands its return. However, Tara declares she doesn't know who Polly is. Dumbfounded, Polly says goodbye to Tara. Then, standing on the road, lights a cigarette. Her phone rings, but she doesn't answer and simply walks into her sister's house. Meanwhile, Tara sits on the sofa and looks at a bloody inscription on the wall. Tell no one, trust no one, she is lying. Then, with her bandaged hand, the girl places an object into the box. In the final scene, the camera pans out to reveal Tara's dead parents in the background.